Welcome to my final 8 fastest raps video that I don't show my face in. Lately especially, I've been really discouraged about the visual content of this series for some reason. Like, I love making these videos and talking about the rappers and the research and everything, but I feel like the visuals of this series can get really boring to watch. Yeah, I'm hoping that if I actually film myself talking instead in the future, it'll be a little more entertaining for you to watch. And yeah, let me know what your thoughts are on that in the comments. But with that being said, let's dive straight into Lee Youngji's rapping, what this video is all about. Now, let me quickly explain how this series works for those of you who are new to my channel, which you should totally subscribe since, you know, you're new. But you can skip to this timestamp on the screen if you already know how I do this. Okay, so it works like this. I listen to all of Lee Youngji's raps in her music, as well as her features and collabs and anything else. Feel free to let me know if I missed any obscure song, because I'm human. I'll probably miss something, but looking at those raps, I found what I thought were the fastest sounding parts by ear in that given song, and then I took 8 seconds of those raps to be constant with the other 67 Korean rappers I've looked at so far and counted the total amount of syllables in that span of time, and then finally I divided that total by 8 to find the average syllable per second count, and that is how I determined the quickest of Lee Youngji's raps. As always, every Korean rapper I've ever done this on will be listed at the end of the video in order so you can see how Lee Youngji compares in speed. Now let's start off with number 8, of course, where we're actually going to start off with a feature she did on a Young K song back a year and a half ago at this point, and it's on the song called Homework.
You know my story, that I'm not a writer, not a fairy tale. 이건 그니까 그냥 좀 현실에 살아 모두 박찬 정직해 거짓된 저만 아홉대 또 내 영상들과는 다르게 난 것. You know my story, that I'm not a writer, not a fairy tale. 이건 그니까 그냥 좀 현실에 살아 모두 박찬 정직해 거짓된 저만 아홉대 또 내 영상들과는 다르게 난 것.
Okay, spoiler alert, but I'm actually like a huge Lee Youngji fan. I have been for like a good year and a half now, and this actually sounds pretty slow to me. Maybe it's just because her other raps that are above this sound so much faster and make this sound a bit slow, but I would not think off the first listen that this would have made the list at number 8. But surprisingly, this is 58 syllables in 8 seconds that she hits here. Of course, with an 8-second constant, and it's 7.25 syllables per second, about 1 minute and 48 seconds into the song. And let me just say, if you haven't listened to the song yet for some reason, please do. It's one of my favorites that not only she's done, but also her collab with Young K. And also the vocals in the chorus are just so good. But anyways, yeah, definitely check that out. Highly recommend. You got the CarKpop recommendation here. So let's move on to number 6 actually, because we have our first of 2 ties. And the first song tied for 6 that we're going to talk about is one of her most recent songs called Compromise.
인생의 두통 약간 필수가 되네. Love it, I love it. 내가 사랑할 수가 없는 것들까지 다 이뤄도 된다고 말하는 것 자체가 그 자체로 남아 이미 무슨 능력대로. 인생의 두통 약간 필수가 되네. Love it, I love it. 내가 사랑할 수가 없는 것들까지 다 이뤄도 된다고 말하는 것 자체가 그 자체로 남아 이미 무슨 능력대로.
So in this verse that's tied for 6th place, as I just mentioned, Lee Youngji hits 59 syllables in 8 seconds, which is an average of 7.38 syllables per second. That's about 1 minute and 56 seconds into the song. And you're going to notice, while the count does jump up quite a bit from here, her fastest syllable per second speed is quite a bit more than 59 in 8 seconds. It's really cool that she kind of keeps the same flow throughout this entire thing. And like, while yes, it does get faster, she still kind of has that same style, and she always has that same flow. Not the exact same flow, but the same delivery that Lee Youngji always gives, which I absolutely love. It's one of my favorite parts of her rapping. The enunciating while rapping fast is just so good to me. But now moving on to our other song tied for 6th place, we have Lee Youngji's verse in a song that she did on Good Girl with Hyoyeon called Do What I Want.
힘이 우린 바래듯한 곳. Yeah, we gotta do this. 나 충분히 쓸 만큼 벌어내 벌어내 벌써 돼 벌어내만은 더 개기분이 더 모습을 다 탈피해버린 채 힘이 우린 바래듯한 곳. Yeah, we gotta do this. 나 충분히 쓸 만큼 벌어내 벌어내 벌써 돼 벌어내만은 더 개기분이 더 모습을 다 탈피해버린 채.
So the awesome thing about her rap and Do What I Want is that the majority of her speed from this, the majority of the syllables that contribute to how fast the syllable per second count is, come at the very end in the last second and a half, and she gets a shit ton of syllables in there. And I kind of, times like this is when I wish I could shorten it to make it go faster, but you know, I'm not going to be cheap like that. Everyone gets the same constant. That's the whole point. And in this constant, in Do What I Want, at 2 minutes and 34 seconds into the song, as you can see on the screen, Lee Youngji hits 59 syllables just like before. It's 7.38 syllables per second. So with that said, we can finally move up to number 5 now, where we have Lee Youngji's solo from last year called Dark Room.
지나 마주 굴레하면 10분 지키면 100점 100승은 내 발이고 담원의 방 안에 적은 나뿐임 나는 나를 알아 점점 대부에 가고 먹는 스타킹 한 캔에 신어도 되는 데라 왜 지나 마주 굴레하면 10분 지키면 100점 100승은 내 발이고 담원의 방 안에 적은 나뿐임 나는 나를 알아 점점 대부에 가고 먹는 스타킹 한 캔에 신어도 되는 데라 왜
For those of you who know this song really well, I kind of expected it to be her second verse that was the fastest part in the song, but that flow in the second verse actually sounds faster than it is, where this first verse at 33 seconds into Darkroom is actually faster because she hit 65 syllables in 8 seconds, a huge jump from 6th place, where she gets an average of 8.13 syllables per second. However, now that we're moving up again, we move on to number 3 because we have one more tie on this list, and the next song we're going to talk about, the first one in this tie, is going to go to another good girl song called That's My Girl with Youngji. Ooh, okay, that distortion on her verse always gets me going every time. She sounds so good with heavy distortion like that. I think she should do more verses like that because this is the only one I know of that she's done, unless I'm forgetting one that I looked at. But in That's My Girl, at 2 minutes and 56 seconds into the song, Lee Youngji hits 66 syllables in 8 seconds, which of course averages out to 8.25 syllables per second. And like I said, this is tied with another song, so let's move on to the other song this is tied with, which is a song called New History, and her verse in that, and it's probably my favorite verse on this list. See, I don't always think that the faster verses are the best. For those of you who do call me out for that, faster does not equal best, just want to make that clear. However, this New History verse, which is also tied for third, has the same stats as before, so 66 syllables in 8 seconds, which is an average of 8.25 syllables per second, of course, and that's 44 seconds into this amazingness of a song. If you haven't heard this song yet, I would highly recommend going and checking it out. It's honestly so good. So yeah, let's just move on to number 2, where we have the final good girl song on this list, and it's the main good girl song for Lee Youngji, which is I Am Lee Youngji.
아니 봄은 같이 감정가베로 뛴 뒤 고쳐먹은 내 아니란 마음까지 조금 겨는 곳을 바꾸네 이제 나 대신 다른 자리 난 이제 way too busy 모두와 전혀 다른 곳을 바라보기 아니 봄은 같이 감정가베로 뛴 뒤 고쳐먹은 내 아니란 마음까지 조금 겨는 곳을 바꾸네 이제 나 대신 다른 자리 난 이제 way too busy 모두와 전혀 다른 곳을 바라보기.
So I do think that New History sounds faster than this, but in fact I Am Lee Youngji's verse by Lee Youngji is at 45 seconds into the song. She hits 67 syllables in 8 seconds, 1 syllable more than the previous 2 that were tied, and that's 8.38 syllables per second. So yeah, let's just get into this number 1, the song that we're all waiting for, what Lee Youngji's fastest verse is, and it's actually a verse I had no clue even existed before doing this list. And it's on a song by If I'm not going to pronounce the song name because I always pronounce Korean horribly bad and get made fun of for it. So you guys can see the name on the screen. This is Lee Youngji's fastest verse. I don't know, man. That verse is fire. I can't believe I went a year without even knowing it existed. That entire song is a really good hook and everything. It's a nice saxophone hook. I really like that touch, the saxophone hook in there in a hip-hop song, which is awesome. But in this song by If Lee Youngji hits 69 syllables in 8 seconds, which is an average of 8.63 syllables per second, and that's 1 minute and 44 seconds into the song. So yeah, that's gonna do it for our 8 fastest Lee Youngji raps. Those are the 8 that you just saw and what they sound like. If you enjoyed, please subscribe and leave a like down below. And right now on the screen, while I'm doing all this outro talk, we have every rapper I've ever looked at. If you see a name that you really like, if you're a BTS fan and love Jungkook, or if you're a K-hip-hop fan and you love Timey, I have videos on all of them. Go check them out, and you can find out what their fastest raps are, even though some of them might be a little bit older than others. And you can see that Lee Youngji comes in here at 18th place on my list of rappers that I've looked at so far, with 8.63 syllables per second, placed all to her own, and with 68 total Korean rappers now. or Korean/K-pop, because some of them aren't Korean technically, like Lisa. However, with that many people, she's way into the top third of the fastest rappers, which is awesome to see because she definitely deserves it. Even though, like I just mentioned, fast does not equal best. I need to keep saying that over and over. However, fast is really cool to me, and I think that it has a really cool sound, and I love hearing fast flows. That's why I make this list, because I think they're interesting. And it's also interesting to see how this list shapes out for all the other rappers that are either in K-pop or K-hip-hop. But yeah, so I'm gonna do some more K-hip-hop artists coming up. I do have Hound in the works right now, as well as Huckleberry P, and I have some K-pop people coming up if you like K-pop. So be sure to stick around, subscribe, and it would make me really happy, and I would love you forever if you did that. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and as always, K-pop and show the safe way. Or is it K-hip-hop and show? God damn it.
보답을 너네 모두 꺼주시오 한국말로 하자니요 색하네요 스타일도 바꿨지 쟤 내랑 비교 마시오 나한테 내 소리 이런 거 처음 해보지요 영화 빼고 말해 내 피부 노란색 그래 앞에 번호 8이잖아 빨리 전화해 네가 아는 여자애들 싹 다 불러 오늘 밤은 불지를 거니까 폰을 꺼두기로 해.